Hello everybody, my name's David Evans. I'm the Workforce Management Consultant for Business Systems, and today I'm going to talk to you about the ideal size of centre to move away from Excel-based planning to workforce management. Now the first thing I'd say is the move to workforce management is not necessarily driven by the size of the operation. There isn't an absolute number of agents required before you need to start looking at replacing your Excel spreadsheets. So the move away from Excel to workforce management is governed by need rather by size. So there are a number of factors driving the need to move. Firstly, your operating model is significant. So if you're open 24/7 and a multi-site, it's very difficult to manage this via a spreadsheet. You may be in a regulated industry that requires you to answer calls in a certain time frame. Again, this is difficult to manage in Excel. Your business model or proposition also plays a part. So do you have a complex product mix, and does it generate significant value to the business? Now if you're dealing with expensive products or high net worth individuals, you'll be wanting to answer those calls as efficiently as possible. And your staffing profile is also important. So if you operate in a single skill and a single site environment, then a spreadsheet may just be fine. Or if you only need to do simple 9 to 5 shifts, then workforce management might not be a burning requirement. Another factor is whether the business can afford to move away. Are they prepared, and can they see what the potential return on investment is? And critically, what are the key drivers for moving away from Excel, i.e. what do you actually want to do with workforce management? So I've just showed this example here of 3 levels of resource planning. So in the basic level, you may want to just be creating some forecast and some basic schedules. Well, yes, you could still do this on Excel and be fairly efficient. And I've seen experiences of 100-seat contact centres still working fairly well on an Excel spreadsheet. However, the second level, which I'll call advanced, you might be wanting to add some of the more advanced features such as real-time management, self-service options where you're offering out holidays, booking, shift swaps, etc. Now this starts to become very difficult in Excel. Now in terms of resource planning, if you're looking for best practice, where you're trying to link into the performance management, integrating into some third parties such as your payroll or HR department, or even looking to integrate into your back office, then you really need to be looking at workforce management. So a key point I'd say here is, so even in a small contact centre and based on the needs, if you are looking at some sort of advanced and best practice resource planning, you really need workforce management. There is also an element of how workforce management is perceived by the business. So in my days as a resource planner, I've worked in organisations with or without workforce management, and it was always interesting to see how the planning function was valued. So in some organisations, it was seen as a must-have tool for the business. There was no way we could survive without workforce management. It was integral and driving the business, and generally there was a mature engagement model between the planners and the operation. So even a small contact centre of 60 agents, I've seen workforce management positioned as a critical tool and an acceptable cost, as it was really driving efficiency and improving the customer experience. The benefits of workforce management were recognised, they were understood, it was seen as a profit driver and cost efficient, and I love working in those places. On the other hand, I worked in organisations where, although they adopted workforce management at a later date, it was initially seen as a bit niche in a specialist area. It was very technical, and the planning resource initially was used on quite an ad hoc basis. And regardless of the size of operation, the move to workforce management from Excel had to be justified by return on investment and payback. In terms of the ideal size then, it is also influenced by how you want to deploy workforce management. Now one of the quickest ways to deploy workforce management is by hosting it via the cloud or as a software as a service. Now for both of these, you don't have to have the workforce management server on site. It is hosted elsewhere in a data center. So for hosting, you may be accessing a dedicated server specifically for your company. And for software as a service, you may be paying a monthly management fee to access a workforce management server. Either way, the key point to remember, it's not on your premises. This means the entry level for workforce management can be very small. Anything from over 20 agents and above is possible, as you don't need to get too concerned about expensive technical architecture on your premise. So the benefits of hosted means it's very flexible, and provided the contract is right, you can scale up and down for peaks. You can almost work on flexible pay-as-you-go type contracts that match your requirements. So you might want to take advantage of a minimum type contract, which can be very flexible. From a risk perspective, it's also a low-risk way of entering the workforce management market, as you prove the concept of workforce management to the business and win over any doubters. And there's also less technical overhead, as obviously the server is not on-premise. So for the smaller organisations looking at the lower end in terms of size, hosted is an attractive proposition. Now the alternative to hosting is on-premise, and this is where you have the servers and architecture physically located on your sites. Now this is the traditional tried and tested route, and typically I would say the size is anything over 50 agents and above for on-premise. Why 50? Well, this is the size where you start to justify the cost of the investment for the servers, the software, and the professional services. And by professional services, I mean things like project management, the deployment, and if you're going down a managed service route, you might need the help of a consultant on site who can help you bed down the products at the early stages. Now, for a contact center of 50 heads, for a leading workforce management product with multi-site and multi-skill, plus all the deployment services, you're looking at approximately £50,000 to deploy. And at the 50 agents and above, the business starts to generate the significant ROI to pay back this investment within a specified period. So when I'm deploying workforce management, we typically see ROI or return on investment in the following areas. You're going to see a reduction in administration time for managers because you're going to allow your agents to self-serve. You're going to see things like a reduction in overtime because you've got workforce management, your shifts are going to be more efficient. You're going to see some benefits of multi-skilling over spreadsheets. You're also going to see a reduction in shrinkage. So shrinkage is the percentage of page time an employee is not available to take a contact. Things like holidays, lunches, breaks, sickness, etc. You will see that reduced down as you're able to plan better for those events. Now, regardless of the type of workforce management deployment, there are a number of common characteristics that contact centres share when there is a need to move away from Excel. So I'd say often there is a need to multi-skill staff. So this is incredibly difficult in a spreadsheet environment. So if you've got employees who've got 3 or more skills, it's very difficult to cater for that on the spreadsheet. Spreadsheets also struggle with multi-channel element, as customers now have many different ways of contacting an organisation. So it's fairly straightforward as if it's just calls, but it's not just about calls anymore. They may be contacting you via Facebook, Twitter, web chat, and workforce management can provide these multi-channel modules. And contact centres with performance issues also need to look at workforce management. There's little real-time performance available via spreadsheets, so it becomes a very reactive environment and a bit of a knee-jerk place to work. Now, workforce management provides that ability to forecast, optimize and move staff in real time to meet that unexpected demand. Organisations may also be looking to improve their employee engagement through offering self-service to staff. So they're going to be looking at employee satisfaction through self-service booking of holidays, shift changes, shift swaps and time off requests. Again, that's quite difficult to do in an Excel environment. And perhaps for me personally, the main reason for moving to workforce management is that the spreadsheet becomes very complex and time consuming. Okay, so say after 50 agents it starts to become a bit of a chore. In fact, it becomes a bit of a risk to the business, as it often means there's a skills dependency on the individual maintaining the spreadsheet. Now, if they decide to leave, then you may have to start all over again with a brand new spreadsheet or database, and that is not a good place to be in. Finally, although there is no exact size for moving, I can safely say that even moving from spreadsheet to Excel with small numbers can make a big difference. So even deploying workforce management for one team will make a change for the better for the agents and for the business. The business will start to capture volumes more effectively, forecasts will become more accurate, and for the agents they can start to self-serve. They can start to view their performance, and if forecasts are more accurate, the agents will be in a calmer and more professional environment. Well, I hope that's been useful for you today. If you do have any further questions, either contact me on my details as shown or via the Professional Planning Forum. Thank you very much.